Hello, my name is Nani and welcome to my channel where I share with you my top tips on how to look good, feel good, and smell good from the inside out. In today's video, we're talking all about smelling good, and so I want to do something a little bit different. I picked out pretty much top 5 best-selling fragrances for men, and I wanted to go ahead and rate them. So of course, if you guys love fragrance videos, make sure that you go ahead and give me a big thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel for more. If you guys want to hear my thoughts, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alrighty, so jumping right into this video, as I mentioned to you, I want to do something a little bit different and just basically share with you guys my personal ratings for really popular best-selling fragrances. I obviously don't have all of them in front of me, but I do have 5 of them that are considered bestsellers, especially on like major websites, that I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on. If you guys are new to my channel and you just want to know if these fragrances are essentially worth buying or what they smell like, I am going to also give you guys a brief description or a brief synopsis of what these scents smell like as well. So the first one that I want to go ahead and talk about and rate for you guys is one that I feel like most men probably already have in their collection, at least one version of this scent. And I do think that it is one that everyone should have in their collection because it is a classic. And that's going to be this Dolce Gabbana The One. And this one is the Eau de Parfum. Whether you have the Eau de Parfum or you have the intense version or you have the Eau de Toilette, I think that this fragrance in general needs to be in rotation in your collection just because it is a very kind of like easy to wear, aromatic, sweet, sexy fragrance. One of those scents that you can pretty much dress casually if you want to. You can basically use it for date night, or you can use it for like business and networking and things like that as well. So I really love this scent, especially the Eau de Parfum version. I feel like this one is a little bit more versatile than the others. I haven't tried the Intense, so I really don't know what that one smells like, but this version of it, the Eau de Parfum, I think is definitely one of those that can be a signature scent for someone. And as I mentioned, it's very sweet and aromatic, but it's not sweet to where it takes away from the masculinity of this scent, because this is still a very masculine fragrance, but it's an easy to wear, sweet, aromatic, masculine fragrance. So I absolutely love this. This one also does give you really good projection, sillage, as well as longevity. And so I feel like if you are starting out into getting into fragrances, this is definitely one that you need to pick up. I honestly would recommend the Eau de Parfum the most, but of course you just basically test it out just to see which one works for you and your body chemistry and things like that. But this is an extremely versatile fragrance and it's extremely popular for a reason in my opinion. And so if I had to give this fragrance a rating, obviously my husband has a ton of fragrances, but I do feel like if I had to give this a rating, I would definitely give this an 8. And that's just my honest opinion based on how long the fragrance lasts, how versatile the fragrance is, because you can wear this year round. As I mentioned, this can serve as a signature scent for someone. It's basically something that's not season specific or like a time of the day specific kind of thing. It's a year round, easy to wear fragrance. So I would definitely give this an 8. And as I mentioned, this is one that I think every man should definitely have in his collection. So that's going to be Dolce Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum. So that's the first one that I wanted to give you a rating on. The second one is another kind of like really popular scent, and I feel like a lot of people call and consider this to be a club banger or a clubbing type of fragrance. And of course, I'm sure you guys know it's coming, and this is going to be this right here, which is Versace Eros. And this is, I believe, also this is the Eau de Toilette. So this is basically a fragrance that a lot of people consider to be more, like I mentioned, a clubbing scent. And I understand why, because this one is, in my opinion, a little bit more on the sweeter side. So if you are just getting into fragrances and you're not really sure if you like super sweet fragrances as a man, then I would definitely say test it out. It's not overly sweet in my opinion, but it is on the sweeter side. This one has notes like lemon, it has mint, and then it also has a tonka bean note as well, which I absolutely love in fragrances. But what I will say is that in the opening, you do get a little bit more of a fresher opening because of the lemon and the mints and things like that. But once it dries down on your skin, it does get a little bit deeper, a little bit richer, a little bit more interesting, especially when the tonka bean starts hitting your skin. So it's a rich, creamy, not dark, but just kind of like a rich, creamy, very intoxicating, very kind of like sexy scent. But I do find that with this fragrance, it doesn't really last as long as I would prefer it to. You'll get a good maybe 6 hours out of this scent. but I also do feel like this is one of those fragrances that you can get tired of it pretty quickly. So if you wear it very often, especially if it's one of those things where you wear on a daily basis, I think that you can definitely get tired of the scent very, very quickly, because although it smells sweet and aromatic and very kind of like sexy in the dry down because of the tonka bean and because of the richness of the tonka bean and the creaminess of it, I feel like it's also one of those scents that it just is more of like you have to be in the mood for it. And I understand why a lot of people kind of classify it as a clubbing scent, because it is extremely intoxicating. I do feel like a woman would definitely enjoy it if they're in close encounters with you. So I do like it for that, but like I mentioned, it's one of those that I feel like you kind of have to be in the mood for it. It's more of like a vibe, like I mentioned. You just have to be in the mood for the scent. But I do like the way that the fragrance smells itself. So if we're talking just about the way that it smells, especially in the dry down, this is a really intoxicating fragrance. But I feel like based on the longevity, the way that it smells, the fact that it's classified as a clubbing scent, and just like I mentioned, the fact that I feel like you can definitely get tired of the scent if you wear it too much. In terms of a rating, I would honestly just give this fragrance a 7. So it's not bad, it's still a very nice scent, but like I mentioned, it's not really like the top of my list, honestly. But I do feel like this is a really nice scent to have in your collection as well. But it isn't one of those that I would recommend for you to wear very often, just because I do think that you can get tired of it pretty quickly. So again, that's going to be Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. Now the next fragrance that I want to mention to you that is extremely popular as well, I feel like is one that a lot of people think should be or could be a signature scent. But in my opinion, I do feel like this is one of those fragrances that kind of smell very like season specific or like a time of the day specific, if that makes sense. And this is the Acqua Di Gio Profumo, and this is the Parfum as well. When it comes to this scent, I did do a comparison between this scent and the Dior Sauvage, which is actually my next fragrance. And I mentioned in that video that I feel like when it comes to this fragrance, it smells very kind of like sporty and stays more of like on the fresh side, in my opinion. Like it smells very good like the longer that it lasts on your skin, because you have a ton of beautiful notes that kind of make it a little bit more masculine the longer that it lingers on your body. But I do feel like this stays pretty fresh in my opinion. And the biggest thing that I will say if you are thinking about possibly purchasing this scent is that it is, especially in the dry down, it is heavy of the patchouli note. And so the patchouli is very heavy, it's very in your face, it's very kind of like, to me, I kind of feel like this is a fragrance that an extrovert would like, somebody that likes to go out, somebody that likes to be seen, somebody that likes to kind of like make a statement at all times. Just because the patchouli note is very kind of heavy, very in your face, just very kind of like out there in my opinion. And I feel like this scent definitely smells good, but it isn't my favorite out of my husband's fragrances, if I'm honest with you guys. So in terms of this fragrance, as I mentioned, I feel like an extrovert would like this. I feel like the words that kind of come to mind when I smell this scent is something like, you know, fun, somebody that's a little bit sporty, somebody that's very active. But I do feel like, let me just say this, I do feel like this scent could still smell good if you decide to dress it up. So I do feel like it is versatile in that sense. But to be honest with you, I do feel like this is more of a daytime scent. I do feel like this is more of like a spring and summer fragrance. I don't really see this, or I don't think that this could be a signature scent. Even though this is a scent that you can wear from daytime to nighttime, I don't really feel like this would be a special signature scent, and that's just my opinion. I feel like it does smell good. It's a little bit fresh, it's a little bit aromatic, it has a little bit of a spicy element to it as well. It has an incense note in there, and that kind of gives it a little bit more of like a warm, a little bit of a muskiness to the scent. I do feel like this is one that a lot of people would enjoy though. I do think that this is a mass appealing fragrance. But at the same time, it isn't the most interesting fragrance in my husband's collection, in my opinion. So if I had to give this a rating, I would give this an 8, just because I do feel like it is mass appealing, it is long lasting, it does get more interesting the longer that it lingers on your body. You can wear it from daytime to nighttime, and you can also wear it year round. But just the way that I wear fragrances personally, I do feel like this smells more like a spring and summer scent, and it also does smell more like a daytime scent, just to me. So again, that's going to be Acqua Di Gio Profumo, and that's going to be an 8. And then the next fragrance that I want to mention to you, again, like I mentioned, is going to be one that I compared it to, and that's going to be the Dior Sauvage. I've mentioned to you guys this story with me when it comes to this fragrance, and I just absolutely love it. But if I'm honest, it isn't the most mind-blowing thing that I've ever smelled. I have, especially the more that I test out fragrances, there are fragrances that I'm like, wow, this smells even more amazing. It lasts even more on your skin. You know, it's just a little bit more versatile. I feel like this is a mass appealing fragrance. I do feel like this is one that a lot of people would enjoy in their collection, but I feel like a lot of people may not necessarily know how to wear it or where to wear it to. We all have different kind of like areas of like business and things like that, so that may be the issue as to why some people don't like it. But I do hear a lot of times that a lot of people think that this is a very strong fragrance, and it is a strong fragrance. So this one, in terms of what it smells like, it's very fresh, but it's still very kind of like sensual. It's warm, it's cozy, and of course the longer that it lingers on your body as well, it also gets a little bit more warm. It gets a little bit more sensual. It gets a little bit more of like a skin scent. It does sit pretty closely to the skin the longer that it lingers on your body, so it doesn't have like a huge sillage the longer that it lingers. But I do feel like this is still a very nice scent for work events, suit and tie, date night. It's a very versatile fragrance, and I do feel like this could be somebody's signature scent in my opinion. It doesn't smell very like specific to a certain season or a time of the day, but I do feel like this does thrive a little bit more at nighttime, just because the longer that it lingers on your body, it does get a little bit more like sensual and soft. So I do feel like that would be perfect for like a nighttime type of thing, but you can wear this from daytime to nighttime as well. But I would definitely give this one a 9. Just in my opinion, I feel like this one is a little bit better than the Acqua Di Gio Profumo. That's just my personal opinion and my personal choice, but they do still smell amazing for different reasons and different occasions. But I do think that this one is a little bit more interesting, just in my opinion. So again, I would definitely give this Dior Sauvage a 9. So that's, again, my personal opinion. And the last fragrance that I want to mention to you, this is going to be probably a very unpopular opinion, but I have to say it, I have to mention it, because this is probably one of the most sold fragrances for men ever. And to me, I just don't understand why. And I'm just keeping it real. This one is going to be the Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum. And honestly, you guys, I don't see the hype. I don't understand the hype. I really expected a lot more from this fragrance because of how hyped up it is. But it honestly smells very basic and boring to me, especially once it dries down. And the biggest thing that I can say is that it opens up where it's like, it has a little bit of a freshness to it, it has a spiciness to it, it has a woodiness to it, it has a greenness to it. So it has a lot of different elements to this fragrance where you would think that it's, you know, would be a very interesting scent throughout. In the opening, it smells a little bit more interesting, but once it starts to dry down on your skin, I did also mention this in another video, that I feel like this fragrance, like once it starts to dry down, there's something with the combination of the notes to where the scent smells unfinished or incomplete, or just like, I don't know, there's something about it when it first starts to dry down on your skin that just doesn't smell complete to me. But then again, the longer that it dries down on your skin and it basically dries down to the base, it's pretty boring in my opinion. Like I mentioned, you get the woody notes, you get a little bit of kind of like a fresh element to the scent, you get a little bit of a greenness to it, but not too much to where it's not wearable. But I do feel like this is a pretty boring scent, especially once it dries down. It doesn't smell as extravagant as people hype it up to be. I honestly don't understand the hype with this fragrance. So if I really had to give this a rating, just honestly in my opinion, I would probably give this like a 5 or a 6, just because it's really not that serious. And that's just, again, my personal opinion. I do feel like this scent could be a signature scent for someone, just because, like I mentioned, it kind of reminds me a little bit, not the smell, but I feel like it kind of reminds me of the Dior Sauvage in the sense where once it dries down, it does become a little bit softer as far as the projection as well as the sillage of the scent. So I feel like it's perfect for close encounters, but it still has a professional element to it. It still has a very fresh element to it that makes it, or keeps it very kind of like inviting, I guess you can say. But at the same time, I do feel like this one gets just a lot more. I'm not going to compare them, but I just feel like this one is just a lot more impressive in my opinion. But those are going to be my final thoughts on all of these fragrances that I wanted to mention to you guys and rate to you. I will make sure to leave my ratings down in the description box below. But yeah, so thank you guys again so much for tuning into another video. If you guys love fragrance videos, as I mentioned, make sure that you go ahead and give me a big thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Please stay safe. God willing, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.